Let's talk about how we can easily write a Node.js code and then schedule it to execute every 5 minutes. Of course, we can change it to be executed every hour or once a day. We're going to use Firebase and Google Cloud function, which is probably one of the quickest ways to deploy a small application without any complex infrastructure in place. So the plan is to install Firebase CLI, write a simple Node.js code, deploy it within seconds, and finally validate if everything works as expected. So let's begin. With Firebase CLI installed and an empty folder created, we start with command Firebase login. Our browser should open to validate our account details, and we need to accept Firebase access to our new project. After that, we enter Firebase init command and select which features we want to enable. We select only functions with a spacebar, which is required in our case, and we hit enter. Next, we select existing project or create a new one. After a few seconds, we are prompted with a question on what type of functions we want to create: JavaScript, TypeScript, or a Python. I've selected a TypeScript and waited for everything to install. Behind the scenes, the Google Cloud infrastructure is created for us. Nothing too complex and easy to track, in my opinion. The initial setup is complete, and now we can look at the code. Now let's open index.ts, which has a default code to output HTTP response on the screen when this function is executed. We want to transform this code into something we schedule and execute as often as we want. So first, we need to import scheduler with onSchedule function. Then we can replace request part with onSchedule function. First argument for this function is a string parameter on how often this code should run. In our example, we say every 5 minutes, and we can also use cron tab version if someone is more familiar with that syntax. Finally, we tidy up the code and we have function ready to be executed. In our example, when this code is executed, we output text "Hi there," which is only going to be visible in Google Cloud logs, but this part can be anything you want, from connecting to the database, sending emails, clearing up data, or monitoring. Anything that needs to be run with schedule in mind. With this code, we can now deploy it and check if everything is working as expected. So we are running a command called Firebase deploy. During deployment, Firebase CLI is checking code differences and what related things needs to be initialized in Google Cloud infrastructure. In our case, it's just a cloud function. However, because we've used onSchedule function, Firebase is also creating a cloud scheduler, which calls our function every 5 minutes. Once we see deploy complete message, we can go to the Firebase dashboard and check what we've just created. Here is a dashboard and a list of projects available to us. We click on the one we've just created. Then from the left menu, we find functions, and we should see our function being created in the list. We can also see how often it runs, but first, let's view the logs to confirm our message is being logged. I've already waited for about 30 minutes, and I can confirm message "Hi there" is there multiple times. That means everything is working as expected. And finally, I can go back and view Cloud Scheduler we mentioned earlier. There, I can either force to run our function now or view the logs on how many successful times this code was executed. Let's quickly summarize. We've just created a Node.js code, which then we've deployed within seconds, and it is scheduled to be executed every 5 minutes. Behind the scenes, Firebase is creating a Google Cloud function and scheduler at the same time. It hides most of the manual infrastructure setup we would normally have to do. Because it's still Google Cloud, you have a typical access and visibility over those services. You can even link your application to other projects or services. At the moment of recording this video, executing scheduled functions up to 2 million times a month is free of charge. This seems like a good deal to me, no matter what type of a project this is. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.